Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Well, it's 9 o'clock in the morning here in Arizona. So I'm Tomas Garza, and I welcome you to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. This is a very, very special focus Monday for you. So I hope that you have had a beautiful weekend. I hope that if that meant relaxing poolside or beachside, or in nature, or just sleeping in, that's what you got to do, and that you had fun, whatever it was that you were doing. All right, so I'm inspired today for a special focus on healing and wholeness, and I'll explain a little bit more about where this is coming from. It's coming specifically from a reading that I did today in the text of A Course in Miracles. And I thought, okay, well, this is speaking to me for a reason. There's a reason I picked this up to page 72 of the text, the second edition. It's the start of chapter 5, which, appropriately enough, is entitled Healing and Wholeness. So this is part of the morning routine that I have had for quite some time. My wife, Cindy, and I are pretty early risers, but there is no camera, nor is there a microphone in this world that gets to see me before 9 a.m. And well, you can tell right away just by looking that it's not because of my elaborately complex hairstyle that takes 45 minutes. Yeah, it's not that. What's going on is that this is really, really wonderful, sacred time that we've habitually built into our schedule to sit down, have coffee, and relax, journal, meditate. Part of this ritual always involves, for me, reading some component of A Course in Miracles. And today it was chapter 5, the very intro to chapter 5 of the text. So I'm very curious. This is a question that I think would be fun for people to put in the comment thread here. What does your morning routine look like? Do you have one? Do you have a sacrosanct habit that is always in your schedule, that has become so ingrained, it's so built in that you really can't imagine the day without it? I mean, do you have one of those in the early morning? Maybe you have one in the evening. Maybe you have one at 3:25 in the afternoon. I don't know, right? You might have that, but that's really very, very interesting. And when people have come to me for advice on a spiritual path, this is one of the things that I always ask. And that is, okay, what does your morning routine look like? And what does your mindset look like? First thing in the morning, what do you do? Do you race off to work? Do you hastily dress, shower, do your hair, race off to work? Or do you deliberately, if you have to be someplace at 9 o'clock, do you deliberately sleep until 8:50? Or like I used to do that in college. So that was something that I used to do. And well, I'm reminded of that because in the next room over here is my 18-year-old son, Mateo, who is moving into his dorm room on Wednesday. So 2 days from now, he starts his freshman year. And I'm just reminded of some of my habits when I was 18. And you can imagine I'm a lot healthier now at 49. So part of this is reading from A Course in Miracles. I mean, as I've mentioned here, and if you're just joining me, this has been the centerpiece of my own spiritual practice for the last 8 years. It certainly found me, and not the other way around, in 2013, and it has really, really been the focal point. So everything that I've done in my work as a coach and in my work as a counselor, as a teacher, has revolved around this self-study curriculum and its principles. So as you might imagine, as you really, really might imagine, and maybe if you're familiar with the course, there's a different take on healing. There's a broader and more accessible take on healing and wholeness that's available to us with A Course in Miracles. And this, to me, has come as a very, very welcome development in life. Because we tend to think of things one way in the world based on societal conditioning. We do. We can't really help that. We're programmed in this from a very, very young age. So it's nobody's fault that this is the case. It's just up to us as adults to recognize it. And for most of us, and myself included, it has involved making tons of errors, really making lots of mistakes and winding up in not so happy situations, right? Be they relationships or jobs or careers. We wind up in situations that are deeply unfulfilling to us because, well, quite honestly, we're not open to true healing. We get closed off at a young age. It's nobody's fault, but as adults, we have the power. Well, and, I'd like to say, add in their responsibility, for sure, the responsibility to wise up, as it were, to the situation and recognize it for what it is, and then do something about it. So spirituality is all of that, including the do something about it, because nobody's going to magically wipe this away for us. They're just not. Happily, we have the opportunity and the ability to do all of this ourselves. Now, A Course in Miracles has really helped me to take charge of all of this. And that's what I hope for you, is that your spiritual practice helps you to stand up and own your own experience, because you are the author of that experience. If something is not going the way you want it to go, you have the opportunity to examine that and course correct. Right? If something is great, then you have the opportunity to extend that greatness and share it. You do. And that's an opportunity that if you have right now, currently, I hope that you may take that opportunity. Because according to the principles here in A Course in Miracles, when you give something, you wind up having more of it. The world is a world of ideas. I read that this morning. I've read it before, and it's nothing new. The world is a world of ideas. So I invite you to change your mind. We tend to think of giving as being out something, don't we? If I give someone something, I no longer possess it. I no longer have it. Well, the world is a world of ideas. So if we are able to accept that, then we can accept quite easily the idea that when we give an idea away, it doesn't go anywhere, does it? Let's say we give someone love, or we extend someone a gesture of kindness. We're not out anything at all. In fact, we're in an even more joyous position. Right? Having given that away, it's strengthened when the other person accepts the love from us or our gesture of kindness. Then we recognize that in our own mind, why we're each other's mirrors. In fact, we're all joined in the end. All minds are, in fact, joined. So when people spout out on social media or in a reggae song lyric or any kind of lyric, anywhere out there, if you hear we're all one, well, people aren't just spouting off some new age truism. It's actually the truth. It's up to us to begin to experience that. So healing here is to make happy. To heal is to make happy. This is what the Course says. This is the very first sentence of chapter 5 of the text. This means, by extension, that we've missed on many opportunities to make ourselves happy, to heal. Healing it can be of the physical body, but it's of the mind. This is a really important distinction that A Course in Miracles makes that we do well to take to heart. Healing is of the mind. And one of the things that we come to realize is that our minds are way more powerful, way more powerful than we can possibly imagine. We don't give ourselves enough credit. And Jesus says in the Course that we don't ask too much of life, but far too little. And think about that. We don't ask enough of life. We ask far too little. We're way more powerful than we can possibly imagine. Isn't that exciting? I mean, to me, I think that that is one of the most uplifting components of this whole course, is it demonstrates to us our own potential, our unused, untapped, discarded potential. So if to heal is to make happy, that is really tremendously uplifting. There's no difference between love, joy, happiness. When I used to hear people say, well, happiness is overrated. Really? No, it's not. No, it's not, because deep down we all want it. We're all seeking the peace of God. You are clearly seeking the peace of God by watching this live stream. This tells me a lot of things about who you are and the fact that you're paying attention to spirituality, that you're drawn to this, means to me that you're well on your way to ultimately recognizing these ideas as true, no matter what form they may appear, right? No matter who says the idea. Could be me, tomorrow it may be someone else. You might read the same thing online in 25 minutes, right? No matter what the messenger or who the messenger is, or how the message is presented, these ideas are the truth about all of us, and you're well on your way to finding all of that out. So congratulations on that. So healing is of the mind. When we forgive, when we extend kindness, when we are grateful, really, truly grateful, we heal ourselves. And you know what else is really cool? Someone else could help us heal from all the way across the world without our ever knowing about it. It's happening right now, without any of us ever meeting in person or virtually. Healing and healthy, loving thoughts that you have right now benefit all of us. Why? Minds are joined. We are, in fact, one. So any benevolent, beneficent thought that one person has benefits everybody. By extension, it benefits everybody. Why? Love can only be extended. Think about that. Love can only be extended. It's total, it's abstract, it can be extended. Now, these are very beautiful ideas that on the spiritual path, we're ultimately to deeply contemplate and take to heart. That's the point of all of this, is to apply it. So in order to apply it, right, as human beings, we're stubborn learners, all of us. So we need to be convinced of the truth of this. So what I can invite you to do is, if you're following along with me here on the live stream in the workbook for students, take the time to read the commentary each day, and take the time, set it aside if you need to, but take the time to actually do the exercises. They're all relatively short. Take the time to actually do that. Commit to that one day, then commit to it the next day and the day after that, and see what begins to happen. Observe, observe your own experience and see what begins to happen in your life. Do you begin to see yourself as more lighthearted? Do you begin to see yourself as more compassionate, more loving, happier, lighter? Do you feel lighter? And I mean emotionally lighter. Or do you laugh more? Do you find that people are more drawn to you? That happens. That happens as a result of this. Are you more loving? Are you more patient? Are you more forgiving? Yeah. These are all forms of healing the mind. This is how it begins to show up in our lives. The more it begins to show up, of course, the more convinced we are. And one of the beauties of A Course in Miracles, by the way, is we're not asked to just blanket believe this. Just because I'm saying this on a global live stream doesn't mean that you have to believe it. In fact, if you're doubting it, that's cool. I invite any and all skepticism. This is really good because it means you're questioning. Now, I invite you, if you are skeptical of these ideas, to sit in that doubt. Sit in it. I mean, really, it's your friend. Embrace this doubt and skepticism and apply it. Have the courage to apply it to everything that you now believe. You can doubt a person. We can all doubt somebody who's talking on the internet, can we not? There's a lot of stuff out there on the internet for us to doubt, for us to pass judgment on. I mean, it doesn't take long. We don't have to scroll for more than 15 or 20 seconds to find all kinds of things that we disagree with in life. Yeah. So sit in that doubt, but have the adult courage to question literally everything, including the foundations of everything that you now believe. If you hold that up to question, you'll begin to find some things don't work for you anymore, and they need to be released. This is part of the journey that each of us is on. And along the way, I can't stress enough that you have help. There are people here as guides. There are guides, human and non-human, that are available to you as you begin to navigate this journey. And many of you are well into it. You're well into it. So I invite you to give some thought to what healing really is. When you heal your mind, if you have a physical ailment that may or may not be impacted by this, it may or may not. I mean, this is not healing as talked about in A Course in Miracles is quite a bit deeper than just healing an ailment, a physical ailment. Again, that may or it may not happen. What happens is you're healing the mind, which then creates a whole new experience. That is where healing belongs. If we've been misperceiving things, it's time to perceive them correctly. The cool thing about this statement of healing, about the way to look at this kind of healing, is it's more available than we imagine. We don't have to be a trained level 3 Reiki master, although you could be, and affect some tremendous change in people's lives. Yeah. But you don't have to be. You don't have to be a medical doctor or an energy healer. You don't have to hold yourself out as that if you don't want to. If you're called to, then do it. Of course, yes, by all means. But each of us can bring about healing. We're all fully capable of doing it. It takes place at the level of the mind. So I invite each of you to examine what no longer works for you, what's no longer serving you, and let it go. Yeah. Well, see it differently. See it differently. All right. So thank you all for joining in here. On Mondays, I do a special focus like this, take an aspect of life or spirituality and talk about it through the lens of A Course in Miracles. Tomorrow, I'll be right back into the workbook for students. And Kamal, hi, how are you? Hello from Pakistan. Yes, thank you for joining us. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, we've got literally people from all over the world that pop into this program. So if you're catching me on the replay, feel free to say hello. Tell us where you're joining us from and let me know if you have any comments or questions, whether it's about today's material, Course in Miracles, or your spiritual practice in general. And I will see you all right back here tomorrow. Thank you so much for